Something here real quick. Alright. It's been a while. I know. I got swamped with just about everything lately. Bit of good news before I do what I intended to do in the first place. I do have a job now. So... No, seriously. I started today. I'm working at a pet store and, like I said, I started today. With every other job I've had on the first day, I'm normally one of those people. It's like, okay, it's the start of the job, it'll get better. And, I mean, even with Target, hang on, I think the cat's in the trash. He's learning. But yeah, even with Target, the job on the first day, I didn't like it that much. And I ended up leaving Target on good terms, and I ended up loving that job. If it weren't for school, I'd still be working there today. This is the first time that I started a job and absolutely loved it. There's a sense of pride in what I'm doing. I'm taking care of the pets. I'm taking care of the cats that we have from the Humane Society. I'm taking care of the rats, the lizards. We had one of the turtles out today playing with him. And even the mundane thing like cleaning the dead fish out of the tanks was fun. Which is funny because I hate handling dead fish. But, you know, seriously, I'm happy that I got the job. And I'm happy to be working where I'm working so far. Hopefully that doesn't change. It shouldn't. But to celebrate, I rented Resident Evil Revelations. And I wasn't originally going to review it, but I decided I am going to review it for the sheer fact that I think on YouTube, I'm checking this right now, I either put it up or I was going to put up my review of Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. And no, I did put it up. Last review I put up was Dead Space 3. Woohoo! They both sucked. Wait. No, that might be... I'm double checking. Okay, so yeah, I didn't review them. Resident Evil 6 sucked. Flat out. I hated it. And Operation Raccoon City sucked even more. No one's going to argue that point. But, Resident Evil Revelations. Everyone has told me it's old school Resident Evil, it's a return to form, it's true survival horror. The only way that it's a return to form for Resident Evil is the terrible, terrible writing. And the terrible outfits, but the terrible writing more than the terrible outfits. At one point, Chris has teamed up with this prissy girl that looks like Adriana Lima. I can't remember her name's like Jessica or something. And they're fighting a giant octopus-like monster. And out of the blue she goes, "Ugh, these tentacles are so annoying." 5 minutes later, if even that, Jill's partner, Parker, Jill team up with Chris and Jessica, and Parker says, "Jessica, you're with me. How about a little friendly partner swapping?" I'm pretty sure if Jessica wasn't there, they'd have a Jill sandwich. I mean, it was hilarious. In fact, I think Capcom makes jokes on their own, and it's shown in this game. To fight one of the bosses their strategy is have Jill hide at the sandwich shop. I'm going to let that sink in, especially for old school Resident Evil fans. But yeah, it's the same over-the-shoulder action type style of Resident Evil, with bad dialogue that was seemingly taken from the original Resident Evil. And, other than that, I know I gripe on a few games taking ideas from other far better games, and I gripe on movies about this too. This takes place mainly on a cruise ship that you find out isn't really a cruise ship, and it reminded me of the old PS2 game, Cold Fear. Yeah, Cold Fear. I loved that game. I wish they did a port on PS3, Xbox for that. So, you had the boat. But just the setting alone. It wasn't in a raging storm. The monsters were kind of similar in a way. But you had the boat. You had the episodic style... excuse me. Episodic style of the game that was reminiscent of both the new Alone in the Dark game, Inferno, and one of my favorite horror games of all time, Deadly Premonition. And I think that's like the most blatant one, so much so that they have the previously on Resident Evil Revelations, and different actor every time, and it's very funny when you have Parker say it, because he has fake Russian-Italian accent, and I don't know what he's supposed to be other than a man made of mashed potatoes. I'll get back to the graphics and characters in a minute. And I think the episodic style ruins it a bit, the pacing at least. I think it would have worked better as a straight survival horror game like Resident Evil 1, or hell, to an extent 4. But this is my falter with it. I've had several parts in the game where you'll be fighting a group of monsters that constantly spawn because you're, like, I think the instance that comes to mind is when you're protecting the guy who's downloading something. And you're fighting the monsters, but they don't give you enough ammo to fight them all. So it's like, we have survival horror up until this part, then straight action, then survival horror again. And the design wasn't made for it. It should have been one or the other. And that was, despite the writing, despite the over-the-shoulder camera, I think, my roommate and I both agree on this. Resident Evil was scarier when it was fixed camera angles. But while he thinks all survival horror is dead because of it, I think Silent Hill does it right. Because, you know, like Downpour has the rain, and I loved Downpour. The story, everything. The original Silent Hills had the fog. And they kept that in... I think they kept that in Homecoming. It's been a while since I played it. But the atmosphere is still there, and that's what counts. You're not... Especially in Downpour. Wait, did I say Downpour had the fog and I meant Homecoming? I'm not sure if I said it. I'm not going to... Anyway. In Downpour, you still had the camera angle behind you. You had the radio that acted differently than most of the radios of the series. But the enemies were faster, so you didn't see them coming till it was too late, and they were tougher, so fighting them wasn't really an option. That's how Silent Hill compensates for the camera angle. And since they didn't always use the fixed camera angles, I grew used to it. But Resident Evil was always the fixed camera angles in 1, 2, I think 3. I haven't played 3. And then 4, over the shoulder, action. Yeah, it ruined Resident Evil for me. But back on topic. This is over the shoulder camera for Revelations. The camera is jammed so far up Jill's ass, though, you'll be hard-pressed to see anything else. So, I guess it's scary? I don't think so. In fact, I honestly thought the monster design was very weak. The main zombie things, try not to do the quote things, it does annoy me, and I find myself doing that, and I apologize. The main zombie things look like the Fluke Man from the X-Files. I didn't find the Fluke Man that scary. In fact, I thought it was just a guy in a rubber costume that looked vaguely like an albino predator, but I know people who did think the Fluke Man was scary. The big monsters in it, like, there's a monster that has a shield and sword. I thought that was cheesy. I'm like, what practical mutation would this have? And it was, again, not a survival horror thing. It was a straight action horror thing. But at the same time, you have the, there's monsters that explode late in the game that I thought was pretty disturbing. Because you're so low on ammo that you think, okay, I'm just going to run by him. And he explodes as soon as you do. But then you find there's a pattern for them. You can, you know, use it to just... You can use those guys to kill everyone else. There's monsters that shoot bullets at you. By far the scariest monster in it, I think they call it the Skag Dead. It was, or the first time you fight it, it's the communications officer. And as you walk up to him, he's calling an SOS on the ship. And as you're fighting him, he goes, "Don't hurt me, I'm human." I'm a sucker for that type of thing. I loved it in Prey with Girlfriend X, when you're fighting your girlfriend on the back of a monster, and she's begging you to kill her because she's in pain. I'm a sucker for that. I think that is very, very scary. But that alone does not make it a straight return to horror. Now finally, I do want to talk about the characters in this, because they're kind of funny. You have Jill, who... I'm going to straight up say this, and guys, you're going to be pissed. Listen to my reasoning. I am fucking sick of the over-sexualization of Jill Valentine. Skin-tight suit throughout the entire game. You can see her ass crack. And at one point, this is one of my favorite things in this game to make fun of. Because they build Parker up to be this Lothario, like Jessica's always saying, "Oh, you owe me a lobster dinner." At one point, they have to go to the antenna array on top of the ship. Jill looks at Parker and goes, "Looks like we gotta go to the antenna. The view's nice." No. No, Jill. Shame on you. Shame on you. You're supposed to be this big, strong female character. Well, not big and strong, but a strong female lead. And every 5 minutes, Capcom, I should be saying shame on you, Capcom, is making you into a Playboy bunny. No! At the same time, you have Chris, who Jessica's always hitting on Chris, too, and Chris is just like, "Jill. Only Jill." Jill sandwich. Master of unlocking Jill. I have every Jill action figure. Frankly, I'm wondering if Resident Evil 7 comes along, if he's teaming up with Jill and he's going to go, "What about Sheva? Sheva. I have every Jill and Sheva action figure." Stop teaming Chris up with women. Parker looks like mashed potatoes. I mean, his cheeks. I'm going to see if I can do this. "I like this all the time." And it is very hard to speak like that. But I think my favorite character in the game, they have a bad guy that looks like Jamie Heineman too, and every time he's on screen, "I was going like this. Hey Adam, let's bust some myths with a virus." Wow! How are we going to do that today, Jamie? We're going to infect a cruise ship. But what about all those children you have out in Alaska? Shut the hell up. But my favorite character is Raymond. A skinny, pale... Well, wait. I'm skipping ahead. I'll get back to Raymond in a second because there's Quint. I hate Quint. I like the guy he's teamed up with, Keith. Mainly because he has 2 kukris as his melee weapon. But Quint, his call sign on the radio is Jackass. Never has a call sign been more appropriate. I am just going to say that. Now back to Raymond. Anyone who's a fan of X-Men or the old X-Men comics, who knows Arcade, you know, the guy in the white suit who's always smiling, has red hair going everywhere, the yellow and red polka dot tie, that's Raymond. Every time he's on screen, I'm like, Arcade? What? I know Capcom did X-Men games, like Children of the Atom. But Arcade wasn't in that. Are they trying to make Resident Evil and X-Men in the same universe? Because it's just not gonna work. And every time they showed him, I'm like, I know what's coming up with him. And I was right. I'm not gonna ruin it. I'm just gonna say I knew the whole time what he was. It wasn't a surprise. Because he looks like a bad comic book character. And it was just hilarious looking at this guy thinking, no, this isn't going to be well. This isn't right. And finally there's O'Brien, he's the leader of the BSAA. His hair's undone, he's wearing a wrinkled business suit, he's always wearing a jacket that's tattered, and he looks like he's been beaten by his dog. And going through a divorce. I mean, he is almost he's a country song short of being the most miserable man in the world. And he's supposed to be the leader of a government anti-terror organization. Despite all of this, you know, my ranting on it, I have to admit, even though it's not a return to horror, Resident Evil Revelations was actually a pretty decent game. Not an A game, but definitely not the failures that the past 2 Resident Evil games have been. I'd say this is about a C. A C plus, kind of on that border. But it's worth a run. You could beat it in about 2 days. Like, not non-stop. I'd say it's about 8 to 10 hours non-stop. But I beat it in about 2 days with breaks. If you're looking for a horror title, Deadly Premonition, if you can find it, is $40 though. I'm just throwing that out there. But for a fun distraction, definitely get Resident Evil Revelations or rent it. But some quick news with the minute or so I have left. I'm going to eventually get back to Brain Junk Food. With all the stress I've had, it's been kind of hard. I had to sell a lot of my games. And I got some planned. I'm going to do some reviews once my paychecks come in, get my rent taken care of and everything, which shouldn't be too bad. This month, I'm planning on doing Remember Me. It might be a little late, but I am planning on doing that because I do want to play it. I wasn't interested at first, but after finding out what it's about, I do want to play it. But I am definitely doing Deadpool, so keep that in mind. Anyway, I'll have some updates up later and another review pretty soon. Till then, I'll see you guys later.